Oh, there you are. Man, I'm so excited that you can join us today. I was just finishing up some painting. I'm Mr. Lee, and I wanted to come up with something creative to show you just how much I care about you. I'll finish this painting a little later, and guess what? I'll show it to you. You know, I used to think that being creative meant that you had to be good at drawing or painting, something like that. But it's so much more than that. And you know, we're not creative because of our talents. We're creative because how God made us. We're different from every other creature or species or animal because God made us in His image. And our imagination is a reflection of His image. That's why for the month of August, we'll be talking about creativity. Imagining what you can do because you are made in God's image. Think about that. Imagining what you can do because you're made in God's image. Before we get into worship in today's lesson, let's walk through the 4 parts of faith. Listen, I need your participation, so help me. You ready? You ready? Okay. Now, we use our ears to hear God's word. Remember, we heard that we're made in God's image. We heard that. Next, put your hands over your chest. That's where your heart is. We use our hearts to believe God's word, that I am made in God's image. Now, next, point to your mouth, your lips. We confess it. That means to say it. So I want you to repeat this after me real loud. I am made in God's image. Okay, then we use our hands. That's putting God's word into action, actually doing God's word. So we hear God's word, we believe God's word, we speak, confess God's word, and we put it into action. We actually do God's word. Man, you're working your faith. Great job, great job. Now this month's memory verse comes from Psalms 145, verse 3, and it reads, Lord, you are great. You're really worthy of praise. No one can completely understand how great you are. Yes, He is great. Now, as we spend this month talking about creativity, we want you to focus and remember this week's bottom line. Now, say it out loud when you see it. Good job. Good job. So do something creative with it. Write it down, paint it. You come up with a creative way to remember this week's bottom line. Now, let's get ready to worship God and for this week's Bible story.
I just wanna thank you 'cause everything you made is so beautiful. Every single star and every beat of my heart, and it's beautiful. You made my feet, you made my hands, you made me sing and you make me dance, 'cause your love is all around me, and your love is so astounding. I just wanna thank you 'cause everything you made is so beautiful. Every single star and every beat of my heart, and it's beautiful. Here we go, break it down now. Everything you created with your imagination is wonderful and good, wonderful and good. You're my inspiration beyond all explanation. You're wonderful and good. You're wonderful and good. Everything you just wanna thank you 'cause everything you made is so beautiful. Every single star and every beat of my heart, and it's beautiful. I just wanna thank you 'cause everything you made is so beautiful. Every single star and every beat of my heart, and it's beautiful.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Genesis, chapters 1 and 2.
In the beginning, the very beginning, before the first breath, before the first flash of color, before the first moment in time, there was nothing. Nothing. Nothing except God. But when God saw nothing, He saw a blank canvas. He saw the perfect backdrop for a work of art beyond imagination. So, God created. From absolutely nothing, He brought forth the heavens and the earth. But there was no shape or form. God's Spirit hovered over the dark emptiness. Then, God called out,
"Let there be light."
Brilliant light shattered the darkness like golden trumpets on a still morning. Bright rays shimmered and danced in all the hues of the rainbow. God saw the light was good. He divided the light from the dark, calling the light day and the darkness night. Evening and morning together shaped the very first day of all time. Then God said,
"Let there be a huge space between the waters. Let it separate water from water."
By His words alone, God shifted the waters, leaving a vast arching space above. The sky. Evening and morning rolled past, the second day. God lifted His voice again.
"Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place. Let ground appear."
Dry land shrugged its way out of the water. Islands and vast continents and gritty deserts and towering mountains. God called the dry ground land, and He called all the gathered waters seas. But God had even bigger plans for this day.
"Let the land produce plants, and let there be trees on the land."
In moments, tall grasses unfurled across the plains, and giant redwoods shot up from the dirt. Flowers and grapevines and carrots and corn sprouted and flourished. God saw that all of it was good. That evening and morning closed out the third day.
"Let there be lights in the huge space of the sky. Let them separate the day from the night."
At the sound of God's voice, the blazing sun exploded into being. The silvery moon spun out. Stars and galaxies flooded into space, filling the universe. Pew, pew, pew. God set the sun to rule the day, and the moon to rule the night. And God saw it was good. That evening and morning made up the fourth day. But God wasn't done painting His masterpiece just yet.
"Let the seas be filled with living things. Let birds fly above the earth and across the huge space of the sky."
Instantly, the seas and rivers and ponds writhed with dolphins and octopi, salmon and minnows. Eagles soared and bluebirds nested, while ostriches stretched their long necks. God saw they were good. That evening and morning formed the fifth day. But God kept working on His creation.
"Let there be livestock and creatures that move along the ground and wild animals."
At once, animals of every kind appeared. Elephants thundered through the forests, and squirrels darted up tree trunks. Monkeys chattered, and pigs rolled happily in the mud. God saw it was all good. But he had one more creation in mind.
Let us make human beings so that they are like us. Let them rule over the fish and the birds. Let them rule over all the animals.
Then, with his own hands, God formed the very first man and the very first woman, Adam and Eve.
I'm me. And you are you.
And this place? It's beyond words.
Unlike the animals, God made people in his image to reflect him.
Have children and fill the earth. Rule over the fish and the birds and every living creature. I am giving you every plant on the earth for food.
God looked over everything he had created and saw that it was very good. That evening and morning were the sixth day. And on the seventh day, God rested. I mean, his work was finished. His glorious creation was complete. But because God had formed people in his image, they too could reflect his imagination and creativity. The possibilities ahead of them were endless.
Wow, that was a great lesson. But before you go, I would love to talk to you about salvation and giving your family some next steps. You know, being saved or becoming part of God's family is as easy as ABC. It's just that simple. The A is admitting that you're a sinner. The B is believing that Jesus died for you. And the C is confessing, remember, saying or speaking that Jesus is your Lord. So now, I want you to repeat after me if you want to become a part of God's family. Let's say it real loud. Dear God, I heard how much you love me today. I want to be a part of your family. So I ask Jesus to come into my heart, save me, and be my Lord. Wow, if you just did that, you're in God's family, you're saved forever and ever, and the angels are rejoicing, and so am I. Miss Lee is so proud of you. Now parents, if you or your child received Jesus today, we want you to tell us about it. Just text Faith Chapel to 94,000 and we'll send you more information about being saved. Parents, we've also created resources just for you to use at home. So don't forget to download our weekly activity guides. In the meantime, we would love to see what you are all doing. So remember to share it in the Parents Facebook group. Now remember I told you I was going to show you my painting I had just for you. I was creative to tell you just how much I care about you. And it is that I thank my God every time I remember you. So each and every one of you, when I think about you, I thank God for you. I pray for you. I pray for your safety. I pray that you and your family are just enjoying each other, loving on each other, and I pray that you're healed and whole and free. So, look, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next week.